Your house is actually a money pit.
You don't necessarily need to buy a house in order to live a rich life.
Don't buy if that's the case.
Renting isn't inherently bad. It works for millions of people worldwide. For some, it's a choice, and for others, it feels like the only option. But with influencers everywhere telling us that renting is smart and home ownership is a waste, it's actually easy to assume that renting must be the better move. But what if I told you that not buying a property, one that you eventually own outright, could be your biggest financial mistake? Today I'll break down why renters struggle to build wealth, share my personal wake-up call, and give you some ideas to turn things around. For years I thought renting was the responsible thing to do. It felt easy, there was no maintenance, there was no mortgage, no pressure. But one night that changed. I was renting a room that could have doubled as Harry Potter's cupboard under the stairs. It was so tiny that my single mattress didn't fit the room, so I had it on the floor curling up the walls. One night I came home after a long day, starving and exhausted, and I went straight for my midnight snack of frozen chicken Kiev. But when I opened the freezer, it was gone. One of my flatmates had eaten it. I was so hangry, on the verge of tears, but it got worse. When I opened my bedroom door, there it was. One of my landlord's drunk party guests sprawled across my mattress, snoring like a chainsaw. My bed and my room. I froze, thinking, is this my life? I'm paying for this? And that moment hit me like a brick. I had zero control. That night I decided I couldn't keep living like this, at the mercy of someone else's bad decisions. Yes, my rent was cheap, but was I really getting ahead? Deep down, I knew the answer was no. And that night made me ask some big questions. Why do so many renters feel stuck? And why does it seem harder to get ahead while renting? 20 years later, and life for me is very different. As a chartered accountant and wealth coach, I've spent decades helping people take control of their finances and build wealth. And here's what I've learned. Renting might feel low commitment and hassle-free in the short term, but there are three major challenges I've consistently seen with being a long-term renter. The first challenge is no built-in wealth mechanism. One of the biggest challenges with renting is that it doesn't provide a built-in way to build wealth. When you own a home, every mortgage payment you make increases your equity or your capital, essentially forcing you to save and grow your net worth over time. Renters, however, don't have that same automatic system, and instead renters have to rely on self-discipline to save and invest their money intentionally. And let's face it, most people struggle to maintain that level of financial discipline consistently. That is why the data is so clear at retirement age. In the US, homeowners have 40 times the net worth of renters. In the UK, homeowners are at least £326,000 wealthier. And in Australia, homeowners have 20 times the net worth of renters. So it's not just about where you live, it's about having a system in place to grow your wealth. Home ownership provides that naturally, while renting leaves you more responsibility to make it happen on your own. Challenge 2 is rising costs, uncertainty, and lack of control. Renting might feel flexible, but it comes with a significant downside, especially when it comes to costs and control. First, rents often rise unpredictably, and many renters find themselves priced out of their homes or neighbourhoods. Beyond that, the financial uncertainty, renting also means you have little control over your living situation. A landlord can decide to sell, they can refuse to renew your lease, or make changes that directly impact your life. Contrast this with home ownership, where your costs, like a fixed rate mortgage, are predictable and you are in charge. If you want to paint a wall, if you want to remodel your kitchen or plant a garden, go for it. Owning your own home gives you the emotional stability and freedom that renting simply doesn't provide. Then challenge number 3, missed opportunity to build wealth beyond rent. So renters don't just miss out on home equity, they also are likely to engage in other wealth building activities. A study by the Federal Reserve found that homeowners not only have significantly higher net worth than renters, but also more likely to engage in long-term financial planning, saving and investing. And why? Because renting often creates the mindset of short-term living. When your housing situation is temporary or uncertain, it's easy to focus on immediate needs and put off building a financial foundation. Without the structure of a mortgage forcing you to save for stability or home ownership, enabling long-term planning, many renters struggle to adopt wealth-building habits like investing or creating passive income streams, and the gap compounds over time, which means renters fall further behind financially. Ultimately, millions of people are now facing retirement with the prospect of not being able to afford rent. If you're renting, the key to building wealth is intentionality. Renting isn't inherently bad. It's about whether you're making the most of your situation. Treat your renting as a strategic phase in your financial journey, not just a default lifestyle. Ask yourself 3 questions. Am I saving and investing enough to build wealth over time? Do I have a plan to create financial security? And am I being intentional about my spending and goals? If your answers aren't what you'd like them to be, don't worry. You can start making changes today. Even if buying feels impossible right now, having a clear plan and taking small steps to prepare can make a huge difference. The earlier you start, the more options you will have down the line.